Do you want to revive the Han Dynasty? Then listen to me. Don't mess around in Xuzhou, let's go. I'll take you to a good place. Traveling through the end of the Han Dynasty, Zhang Ming originally wanted to dominate the country, but found that as a descendant of a declining family, it was tens of thousands of times more difficult than daydreaming to achieve hegemony. What kind of tiger body shakes, and famous officials and generals rush in one after another, it's all nonsense, that's all the plot in the novel. Zhang Ming, who had a clear understanding of reality, chose Liu Bei after weighing his options. Why do you want to ask? I, Zhang Ming, do not seek knowledge from the feudal lords, only hope to live to the end. Boss Cao had a dream of killing someone, so he would borrow your head to use it, which is not good. Sun 100000 was in a corner of peace, so he had to resort to internal competition and was incompetent in using his troops, which was boring. As for the rest, they are all dead bones in the tomb, not enough for the Tao. After calculation, only Old Liu remained. If I could let Liu Bei take Jingzhou early. If I could make Zhuge Liang leave the mountain earlier. If I could also have Jiangdong in my pocket. Chapter 1. Disguising Liu Bei to go to Jingzhou. You are listening at novel-full.audio. In the 4th year of Jianan, August 199 AD. In Xiapi, Xuzhou, the scorching sun scorched the earth, and the people on the streets were in a hurry, eager to arrive at their respective destinations as soon as possible. There was a person, with a feather fan and a silk scarf, walking leisurely on the street. Walking and fanning, it caught the attention of many people. Young master, isn't it hot? A burly man of all ages, looking at the young master sweating profusely in front of him, couldn't help but ask. Liu Bei, you don't understand. This is called pug-ge. The young master smiled slightly and looked up at the scorching sun, letting sweat drip and his demeanor not diminish. The strong man, who looked like a guard, seemed to understand rather than understand. Young master. What is pug? Sweat accidentally flowed into the young master's eyes, causing him to burst into tears in an instant. Forceful. Even if you say it, you don't understand. I told you earlier that you should read more books and leave quickly. It's important to get down to business first. The young master always says things that Old Pei doesn't understand, but since it's the young master who said it, it must make sense, hee. The strong man obediently scratched his head and followed the young master, pacing slowly. In 15 minutes. The young master finally arrived at the front of the government office. Brother, my young master has come to save Uncle Huang's life. Quickly spread the message. The strong man shouted at the soldiers guarding the door. Unfortunately, the soldier in front of the door remained unmoved, with a silly expression as he looked at the two of them, especially the young master standing in the sun, gently shaking his feather fan and his eyes turning red. At this glance, the strong man was annoyed and punched a side pillar, leaving a white mark. Hurry up and go. The soldier was excited and didn't dare to slack off anymore. He hurriedly went to pass on the message. Young master, is it really appropriate for us to say that? The strong man clenched his fist and appeared somewhat timid with a casual expression on his face. Liu Bei, aren't you and Lao Zhou all determined to join General Guan? Don't worry, I really want to save Uncle Huang. If I don't use some extraordinary means, how can I make him value me? How can you two enter the general's eye? The young master's lips curved slightly, revealing a confident smile. The strong man seemed to have taken a reassuring pill. He knew that what the young master who had saved his life said must be true. Because he had already witnessed the young master's desperate calculations. He said he came to save Uncle Liu, so it must be true. Not long. A kind-hearted middle-aged man walked over quickly, his big ears particularly eye-catching. Behind him, followed by a man with a red face and long beard, as well as a big man with a leopard's head and eyes. The young master's eyes lit up. Here we go. Liu Xuanda, Guan Yunchang, and Zhang Yida. However, on the surface, the young master remained calm and composed, with a calm and indifferent demeanor, swaying his feather fan on his own. At a glance, Liu Bei saw this young gentleman with a strange appearance but very handsome appearance. When he heard the soldier's report, he was receiving an urgent report on the military situation ahead. 50 miles away from the city of Xiapi, there were 50,000 soldiers and horses slowly approaching under the banner of Cao Cao. After experiencing 2 disastrous defeats in Xuzhou, I finally managed to escape from Cao Cao and earn 20,000 soldiers. Just as I was preparing to make a comeback, I still felt a bit uneasy when I heard that Cao Cao was coming so soon. While discussing with his 2 sworn brothers, a soldier came to report a strange young master, threatening to save his life. Hurriedly came out to investigate, what exactly is going on. May I ask your name and surname? Looking at the young master, Liu Bei temporarily suppressed his confusion and politely arched his hand, asking without paying any attention to the difference in identities between the 2 sides. Zhang Ming from Nanyang, with the courtesy name Han. I have long admired the name of Uncle Huang, so I came here to save him from water and fire. Zhang Ming. Liu Bei thought and thought, but he really didn't come up with it. There is still this number 1 person in the world. Subconsciously looking back at Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. Guan Yu shook his head slightly, indicating that he had never heard of this name either. Zhang Fei, on the other hand, couldn't hold back long ago. At this moment, seeing his elder brother's eyes, he immediately shouted, "Go! Where did the thief come from? He's here to deceive people with his demonic words. If you dare to speak nonsense again, no wonder my spear doesn't recognize people." A strong murderous aura erupted, and the strong man next to Zhang Ming quickly approached to protect the lord, but was gently pulled by Zhang Ming. "It's okay. Since the 3 generals don't believe it, then let me not say anything. Liu Bei, let's go. Poor me, I have no ambition to support the Han Dynasty, but I am reluctant to be appreciated by the wise master. This is fate, not human power. But it's also good. With Liu Dai and Wang Zhong like him, Uncle Huang can naturally handle it with ease." After speaking, he turned around and left without any hesitation. Old Pei was stunned for a moment before quickly following up. From beginning to end, Zhang Ming remained calm and composed. His calm demeanor, along with the words of Liu Wang and his 2 generals, and even the tears in his eyes, made Liu Bei look up. "Sir, wait a moment." Upon hearing Liu Bei's slightly anxious plea to stay, Zhang Ming slightly raised the corner of his mouth. Immediately, he slowly turned around and pretended to be puzzled, saying, "What else is Uncle Huang doing? My 3rd younger brother has always been reckless. I apologize to you on behalf of him, and I hope you don't mind. I don't know the meaning of the words save and prepare, but please clarify it, sir." Liu Bei was about to bow down to apologize, but Zhang Ming didn't dare to accept this offer and quickly politely declined. Later, he said calmly, "Xuzhou is a battlefield with Cao Cao to the west and Yuan Shao to the north. In the south, Yuan Shu was defeated, and in the east, Sun Tzu was watching closely. Inside it, there is also Cao Cao's meticulous work in various places. Isn't this situation a dead end? Moreover, Uncle Huang has suffered numerous defeats in Xuzhou, and a victory is hard to come by. Do we really want to hang him from this tree? The saying goes, if you hit someone, don't hit their face, if you curse someone, don't expose their faults." Zhang Ming's words can be said to have exposed all the secrets of Liu Bei. In fact, in his previous life, Zhang Ming carefully studied the 3 kingdoms and deeply sympathized with Liu Bei's plight. Before taking over Xuzhou, Liu Bei had a smooth sailing career and achieved a plain career, with almost no defeats in battles. But after establishing himself as the governor of Xuzhou, he suffered repeated defeats and even his wife and children fell into the hands of Liu Bu and Cao Cao several times. To investigate the reason, there is no mastermind, and it can only be considered one of them. Another important reason is that Xuzhou is not suitable as a foundation for the feudal lords of the region. Therefore, Zhang Ming said that the first thing to save Liu Bei was to make him willingly follow him and leave the 4 battlefields of Xuzhou. At this moment, Zhang Ming's words were still ringing in Liu Bei's ears, but Zhang Fei became angry again. "Wow! Little thief, how dare you humiliate your elder brother like this and punch me?" Liu Bei was greatly surprised. He was secretly lamenting that Zhang Ming's words were too right for his mother, and as a result, his own brothers had a big fight. If this kills a talent, he might cry to death. "Third brother, stop it. Yun Chang, stop him." Liu Bei and Guan Yu's reaction was not bad, but Zhang Fei punched faster. Fortunately, Liu Bei took a step and blocked the punch. Dang dang dang. Although Liu Bei took 3 consecutive steps back and his tiger's mouth tingled, he finally managed to stop this punch, which impressed Zhang Fei. "Nonsense, get out of here." After drinking off Zhang Fei, Liu Bei quickly came to Zhang Ming's side and bowed respectfully. "Please teach me, sir, where is the best place to prepare for the vastness of the world?" Zhang Ming lifted Liu Bei while looking southwest. Jingzhou. Chapter 2. In ancient times, there was a pair of Longzhong pears, but now there is a pair in front of the door. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jing. State. Liu Bei was taken aback for a moment, then smiled bitterly and said, "Sir, Jingzhou is a place with a ruler. Jingzhou Jiangdong, like Bei, is also a Han family relative. Is it difficult for Bei to submit to Jiangdong's sect?" Liu Bei did not express any displeasure, but politely expressed his refusal. Zhang Ming smiled slightly and this was Liu Bei. If Zhang Ming doesn't explain, it does sound like asking Liu Bei to join Liu Biao, just like he did before joining Cao Cao, but with a different person. But in fact, Zhang Ming let Liu Bei seize Jingzhou. But he was clear that he would not agree to tell Liu Bei directly, given his benevolent and righteous nature. After all, benevolence and righteousness were the foundation of Liu Bei's existence, and he was able to survive in this chaotic era, recruit a group of literary officials and generals, and ultimately established the foundation of Shu Han's foundation. Similarly, this is also the reason why Zhang Ming, whose soul pierced through the end of the Eastern Han Dynasty 3 years ago, decided to assist Liu Bei after some planning. Following such a benevolent and righteous lord, I feel at ease in my heart. Looking at the end of the Eastern Han Dynasty, it was none other than Cao Cao, Liu Bei, and Sun Quan who ultimately established their own foundation. Boss Cao, there's no need to say, he has the strongest strength. Unfortunately, Boss Cao had a dream of killing someone and wanted to borrow your head. He was too thoughtful. More importantly, Zhang Ming arrived late, and the current Boss Cao, the strategist group, is almost full. As for Sun Quan, I'm sorry, Sun Tzu hasn't died yet. You should know that after Sun Quan ascended the throne, he did not miss out on the group of loyal officials who were close to Sun Tzu. Moreover, the name of Sun 100000 really made Zhang Ming dare not associate with it. The only thing left in the end is Liu Bei. This is a true man who, for the sake of his brothers, disregards the persuasion of his courtiers, disregards Sun Quan's plea for peace, and also wants to mobilize all the troops of the country to avenge his brothers. Another important reason is that Liu Bei treated his subordinates very well. Joining Liu Bei's command allowed Zhang Ming to happily fish. What Liu Bei lacks now is a foundation. And Zhang Ming chose this time point to assist Liu Bei, which was also carefully selected. Firstly, Liu Bei was recognized by Emperor Xian in Shudou, recorded in the genealogy, and became known as the imperial uncle, reaching the pinnacle of his fame. Secondly, there is the imperial edict on clothing and belts. Anyone who confronts Cao Cao is essentially an enemy of the Han Dynasty. Only those who participate in the imperial edict on clothing and belts are considered to have made a name for themselves. Finally, and most importantly, if it were later, Liu Bei would only be chased by Boss Cao, and even his first wife and children would never appear again after the fall and capture of Xuzhou. Therefore, when Zhang Ming arrived, he had to deceive Liu Bei into leaving Xuzhou. Seeing Zhang Fei going berserk again, he was fiercely stared at by Liu Bei. Zhang Ming calmly said, "Uncle Huang misunderstood. Not to seek refuge with Liu Biao, but to compete for Jingzhou. Since Dongzhuo rebelled, the world has risen together with all its heroes." Yuan Shao was stationed in the 4 northern provinces, with fierce troops and horses. Although he had the potential to sweep across the country, he lacked the intelligence to swallow mountains and rivers. Cao Cao competed for the land of the 3 states and held the emperor hostage to command the feudal lords. Sooner or later, he would have to fight against Yuan Shao. Therefore, he was determined to win the land of Xuzhou. This is also the reason why I advised Uncle Huang to leave the quagmire of Xuzhou as soon as possible. Sun Tzu has a stronghold in Jiangdong and a natural moat in Changjiang, and his foundation has been established. However, he is a straightforward and violent person. I don't expect his life to last long, so it's not enough to be afraid. Jingzhou has a household registration of 1 million, and its rich heritage is no less than that of Jizhou. Moreover, to the north of Jingzhou lies the Han River, while to the south it leads directly to the South China Sea, providing excellent strategic depth. To the west, Yiling blocks the Three Gorges waterway, while to the east, Xiakou controls the eastern part of the Yangtze River, making it a place for military use. Liu Biao has a false reputation, neither knowing how to hire people nor having the ambition to expand territory. This is the excellent foundation left by heaven for the emperor. As for Yizhou, with its fertile fields spanning thousands of miles, it was a natural granary that Emperor Gaozu used to achieve his imperial career. Nowadays, Liu Zhang is less than 1 in 10,000 of his fathers, focusing on party struggles and disregarding people's livelihoods, and the people are eager for change. If Uncle Huang spans across Jingzhou, Yizhou, and Jiangdong, occupying the southern half of the country, pacifying the various barbarians, and maintaining a harmonious government and people. When there was a change in the north, he ordered one general to attack Jingzhou's army towards Wancheng and Luoyang, and another general to attack Jiangdong's army towards Xuzhou and Huainan. Emperor Xu personally led the Yizhou army out of Qinchuan, with the front of the troops pointing directly at Chang'an, and the Guanzhong area could be determined. At that time, the great cause can be achieved, and the Han Dynasty can prosper. What does Uncle Huang think? Zhang Ming, in front of the government office, braved the scorching sun and made various plans, presenting a strategy for Liu Bei to pacify the world. Without hesitation, this is an upgraded version of Longzhong Dui. Originally, Zhuge Liang's attitude towards Sun Quan was to form an alliance and unite with Eastern Wu. And when Zhang Ming arrived, he directly captured Dongwu, avoiding a series of events such as crossing the river in white clothes and defeating Wancheng in later generations. It can be said, Zhang Ming's facing the door is truly without any worries. Once it is achieved, we can do our best to go north and compete for the Central Plains. In front of the government office, needles can be heard falling. At the next moment, Liu Bei burst into tears and bowed respectfully. Whether it was Guan Yu or even Zhang Fei, his mind was filled with the strategy that Zhang Minggang had just described, and his eyes gradually surged. They have been following their elder brother to conquer the world, but in the end, they have become worse and worse, relying on others several times. Now the two of them were chewing on Zhang Ming's words, with a clear understanding in their eyes. Their fists gradually clenched, and a look of longing appeared on their faces. Not to mention Liu Bei, his bowing body is still trembling. It can be imagined how turbulent and unsettling his heart was at this moment. Zhang Ming's words gave him a feeling of sudden enlightenment. Even under the scorching sun, his heart was not as hot as it was at this moment. Liu Bei bowed to the end. Sir's words made the preparation of the Mao Sai suddenly open. However, Liu Biao from Jingzhou and Liu Zhang from Yizhou are both relatives of the Han family. How could you bear to seize them? Sure enough, here we are. If Liu Bei didn't say that, then he wouldn't be the unparalleled benevolent and righteous Liu Xuande. Zhang Ming had a contingency plan for this. I observe the celestial phenomena at night. There will be changes in Jingzhou sooner or later, and Liu Zhang in Yizhou is not someone who can hold on to his foundation. It won't be long before there will be changes too. Moreover, it's too early to talk about Jingzhou and Yizhou now. What needs to be solved at present is still Liu Dai and Wancheng. Upon hearing these words, Liu Bei immediately bowed again. Be prepared to support the Han Dynasty with all your heart, but your qualifications are mediocre and you are truly powerless. Fortunately, God blesses the great Han, and I have the courage to ask Mr. Bei to come out of the mountain to help me. I will treat you with teacher etiquette. Guan Yu and Zhang Fei looked at each other and saw the shock in their eyes. My elder brother is serious and wants to worship this young man in his 20s as his mastermind. But Zhang Ming's words just now have convinced the two of them, so he didn't say much. Unexpectedly, Zhang Ming let out a sigh. I'm really talented and inexperienced, and I'm still young. I'm afraid I might have fallen short of Uncle Huang's orders and dare not take them. Old Pei, who was originally pondering what strategic depth meant, heard that the young master had rejected Liu Bei. His eyes widened instantly and his heart became even more puzzled. Young master, where did this trouble come from? Chapter 3. Triumph, Liu Dai and Wancheng, captured with hand. You are listening at novel-full.audio. Little did anyone know that at this moment, Zhang Ming's heart was already in full swing, but he still had a troubled expression on his face and would refuse to continue until the end. You're joking. When Comrade Liu first worshipped Zhuge Liang as a military advisor, he was in a thatched cottage and only invited Zhuge Liang to come down the mountain after giving him enough face. Zhang Ming believed that as a well-read librarian, he even had his own foresight, and that the map of the world was no less valuable than Zhuge Liang's golden finger. Therefore, he naturally needs to reject Comrade Liu in order to demonstrate his value. Of course, the real reason is some things are too easy to obtain and may not be cherished. Zhang Ming is well aware of this. And Liu Bei would directly worship him as the mastermind, which was also in his calculations, so there was no surprise. Although Liu Bei has now been recognized by the Han Dynasty as the left general of the Han Dynasty and has earned the title of imperial uncle, deep down, he has always been a courteous and virtuous servant, not belittling the humble Liu Xuande. After all, Xuzhou, who recommended himself to Liu Bei, was also a scholar from a humble family and was not appreciated by Liu Bei. Did he directly worship him as a strategist? Seeing Zhang Ming not agree, Liu Bei was very anxious and tears were about to come out. His legs were weak, and he saw that he was about to kneel for Zhang Ming. This is not bad. Zhang Ming was surprised, but fortunately he had quick eyes and quick hands, so he quickly grabbed Liu Bei. He also didn't expect that Comrade Liu would kneel down to him at such a high level of respect for the virtuous and virtuous. Refusing once and raising one's social status is to establish one's own position, but if the future lord really kneels down for oneself, it is unwise to be a courtier. Even if Liu Bei doesn't care, what do Guan Yu and Zhang Fei behind him think? How will we continue to command these two people in the future? Zhang Ming was not foolish and said sternly, Uncle Huang, absolutely not at all. How could you perform this great gift? Upon seeing this, Liu Bei's tears welled up and he quickly grabbed Zhang Ming. Knowing Han, I really can't bear to leave, he said, if you don't know the Han, how can a great Han thrive? Be ready to knock, please know that Han has come out of the mountain, and help me with a helping hand. As soon as these words were spoken, Guan Yu and Zhang Fei were shocked and didn't say much. They quickly followed their elder brother and bowed together. Guan Yuncheng, Zhang Yida, please come out of the mountain and help the Han family. See the situation. Zhang Ming no longer maintained his composure and dressed himself in a robe, bowing deeply to Comrade Liu. Uncle Huang is actually the ruler of benevolence and righteousness. Ming has long respected Uncle Huang. Since Uncle Huang does not abandon him, Ming is also willing to work hard. Upon hearing these words, Liu Bei felt relieved. Ha ha ha. Liu Bei helped Zhang Ming up while laughing loudly. I learned about Han like a fish in water. No, Han, come with me and discuss military matters together. Master, please. Lord, please. Then Liu Bei grabbed Zhang Ming and the two walked together towards the conference hall in the government office. Has this matter been resolved? Liu Bei scratched his head, unable to understand. Why did you have to leave just now, and in the blink of an eye, you became Uncle Liu's military advisor? What's that man's name? He's capable of punching me, but he's willing to follow me. Zhang Fei looked at Liu Bei, and even Guan Yu beside him nodded and stroked his beard. Liu Bei knew that if he proposed to follow Guan Yu now, the other party would definitely not refuse. After thinking for a moment, Liu Bei proudly said, "My name is Pei Yuan Xiao, and I am the young master's guard. I cannot accompany you." As he spoke, he hurriedly ran and chased towards the direction where Zhang Ming had left. Although Zhang Fei was exhausted, he was not angry. He smiled at Guan Yu and quickly walked towards the conference hall. In the conference hall, new intelligence came from ahead. The army outside Xuzhou indeed forged the flag of Cao Cao, but in reality, there was no Cao Cao himself in the army. The two leaders were Liu Dai and Wancheng. Among them, Wancheng had already led half of his troops towards Xiapi, while Liu Dai slowly marched behind. The military strategist is truly divine. Unexpectedly, it was predicted that Liu Dai and Wancheng would lead the army. Upon receiving the latest intelligence, Liu Bei couldn't help but admire it. Guan Yu and Zhang Fei had already heard it in front of the government office, so although they were surprised, it was still considered normal. But other generations such as Sun Qian, Jian Yong, Mi Zhu, and Mi Fong are different. First, the Lord went out and brought back a young man, telling them that he was the new military advisor he had sworn in, which already startled everyone. Now it is said that this intelligence content was already anticipated by the young man named Zhang Ming, who opened his mouth one by one, with a shocked expression on his face that was not concealed. Zhang Ming smiled slightly and the feather fan shook lightly. Yuan Xiao from Hebei has been doing a lot lately, and Cao Cao's attention has been more focused on the Liang area. Therefore, I predict that he will not come in person for this first time. So when I arrived, I had already sent someone to inquire and found out that Liu Dai and Wancheng were leading the army this time. Zhang Ming casually fabricated that he knew it was Liu Dai and Wancheng, of course, because he was familiar with history. However, his analysis also made sense, and everyone in the hall nodded frequently. After admiring, Liu Bei asked, "Do you have any good strategies to defeat the enemy?" Sun Qian, Jian Yong, Mi Zhu, Mi Fong and others were speechless for a moment. After all, with a 50,000-strong army, they only had 20,000 on their own side. Secondly, the abilities of a few individuals are limited, and they have the qualifications to become officials. It is too difficult for them to provide advice and suggestions. Therefore, everyone's gaze turned to Zhang Ming. At the same time, there is still some intention in everyone's hearts to take the entrance exam. At such a young age, being worshipped as a military instructor by the Lord is not enough to convince the public just by prediction. Zhang Ming, upon seeing the situation, should not give up. "Don't worry, my lord. If Ming uses some tricks, Liu Dai and Wancheng can be easily captured." Liu Bei was overjoyed and quickly asked, "Master, where did the plan come from?" Zhang Ming didn't show any interest and said directly, "Liu Dai and Wancheng are usually not valued under Cao Cao's command. Therefore, this time leading the army, I have a strong desire to take Xuzhou in one fell swoop." The Lord implemented the strategy of being a proud soldier and ordered General Guan to lead 3,000 soldiers to battle. When they arrived at the front line, they simply called Cao Cao to meet them. Wancheng felt guilty and saw that our troops were low, so he would definitely take the initiative to confront us. At that time, General Guan only needs to take down Wang Zhong, and then this rout of troops can be taken down. After Wang Zhong's defeat, Liu Bei will inevitably panic. Can you order General Zhang to attack the camp at night? A battle can be settled. Zhang Ming talked confidently and revealed the strategy he had used to arrest Liu Bei and Wang Zhong after his reform. Upon hearing this, Liu Bei was overjoyed and quickly ordered that Zhang and Zhang each lead their troops and horses forward. On that day, Liu Bei held Zhang Ming by candlelight for a night chat, causing him to fall asleep only when it was almost dawn. However, not long after sleeping, I was awakened by the lively sound in the front yard. When he arrived at the front yard, it was indeed Guan Yu and Zhang Fei, each suppressing one person to return. Needless to say, one was Liu Bei and the other was Wang Zhong. The military commander is here. Someone reported, and everyone in the hall looked together, their faces showing admiration. At this moment, Liu Bei had just untied Liu Bei and Wang Zhong, and sent them out of the door. "Jihan, why don't you sleep a little longer?" Seeing Zhang Ming, Liu Bei was overjoyed. In this battle, not only did Liu Bei and Wang Zhong be captured alive, but he also gained 50,000 troops for nothing, which excited him greatly. Zhang Ming smiled slightly and waited for Liu Bei's excitement to subside before saying, "Lord, after solving Liu Bei and Wang Zhong, I guess Cao Cao won't be able to sit still." Upon hearing the words Cao Cao, the atmosphere in the hall suddenly tightened. Chapter 4. The Great War is coming. Instead of recruiting troops and horses, we should disarm them instead. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Upon hearing Zhang Ming say that it wouldn't be long before Cao Cao came in person, everyone in the hall, except for Guan Yu and Zhang Fei, felt a bit nervous. Liu Bei also pulled Zhang Ming, losing his previous excitement. But he knew early on that he would stand on his own in Xuzhou and eventually fight against Cao Cao. Therefore, although there were some concerns, the fighting spirit was not affected at all. "Jihan, please make up your mind." Other people's eyes also turned to Zhang Ming, who was already prepared and raised his right hand slightly. Pei Yuanshao, who had been following him all along, immediately took out a map from his pocket and placed it in Zhang Ming's hand. In the past 3 years, Zhang Ming has not been just waiting to die for nothing. At least this map is far beyond this era. When everyone gathered around and saw the entire map, they were all shocked and speechless. This map, although not including all the territory of the world, basically includes everything south of the Yellow River and within Guangzhou. The key is that this map is drawn in great detail, with annotations on mountains, rivers, lakes, river fortresses, and so on. Zhang Ming pointed to a certain place on the map, and everyone turned their gaze towards it. It was Nanyang Wancheng. Is Jihan asking me to give up Xuzhou and seize Wancheng? Liu Bei had previously listened to Zhang Ming's, in front of the door, and expressed deep agreement with giving up Xuzhou. Seeing that it wasn't about him going to Jingzhou to fight Liu Biao, his heart relaxed a lot and his attention shifted to the northern part of Jingzhou. There are 7 counties in Jingzhou, and the northernmost one is Nanyang County, with its capital located in Wancheng. The former Nanyang County, with a household registration of 1 million, was the wealthiest county in Jingzhou, boasting that one county should be one state. However, after experiencing the Yellow Turban Rebellion and being plagued by Yuan Shu, coupled with Zhang Ji and Zhang Xiu's uncle and nephew occupying Nanyang and engaging in multiple wars with Liu Biao and Cao Cao, the present-day Nanyang County has lost its former glory. But a skinny camel is bigger than a horse, let alone Nanyang County, which is bordered by the Yellow River and Luo River to the north and the Han River to the south, serving as the gateway to defend Xiangyang. Unfortunately, such a strategically significant place was not in the hands of Liu Biao, but in the hands of Zhang Xiu, who was about to surrender to Cao Cao. At this time, it is simply a land bestowed upon Liu Bei by heaven. My lord, Nanyang is occupied by Zhang Xiu, but it is already in name only. Let's first capture Nanyang and then form an alliance with Jingzhou. It's better to rely on Liu Biao for both advance and retreat than to be trapped in Xuzhou. Liu Bei's eyes lit up, and he was willing to take Nanyang and form an alliance with his fellow ancestor Liu Biao. On the side, Guan Yu and Zhang Fei were about to speak. After all, what Zhang Ming had said before was that he had taken Jingzhou. Why has it now become an alliance? But seeing the look of Zhang Ming's eyes, Guan Yu quickly grabbed Zhang Fei and agreed, the strategist's words make sense, and I think it's worth fighting. Although Zhang Fei was puzzled, he saw Zhang Ming's suggestion and heard what his second brother said. He quickly said, yes, big brother, the military commander is right. Let's go to Nanyang and do Zhang embroidery. Guanzhang all agreed, and everyone around also agreed. Liu Bei no longer weighed the scales, took a deep breath, and slapped the city of Wan on the map with a heavy palm. Okay, listen to the strategist. The whole army will set off immediately, attack Jiangdong, and take Nanyang. Zhang Ming breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that in November of that year, Jiangdong would surrender to Cao Cao again under the persuasion of Jia Xu. However, it was also after this time that Jiangdong had no more days to fight, and Jia Xu began a long journey of concealing his abilities. Jiangdong and Jia Xu, what two good workers they are. Instead of going to Chao's camp to eat ashes, it's better to follow me and give Comrade Liu a good support. Zhang Ming secretly thought to himself, but his hand was not slow. He gently shook the feather fan and quickly stopped Liu Bei. Master, don't worry, there are still 2 things to do before leaving. Upon hearing this, Liu Bei quickly asked, I don't know what the military advisor is saying. Zhang Ming gently shook his feather fan, revealing a wise smile on his face. The first thing is for the Lord to write a letter and send it to Liu Biao in Jingzhou. First, let me express my Lord's willingness to befriend him, and then mention our army's determination to help him solve Zhang Xiu's problem. This. Can Brother Jingsheng have any other ideas? Liu Bei frowned slightly, unable to help but feel a little worried. Zhang Ming shook his head and said, I don't know. My lord knows why Liu Biao refused to destroy Zhang Xiu for so long and instead provided more support. It's just about wanting Zhang Xiu to be a buffer between him and Cao Cao, so who can buffer is not a buffer. If it were the Lord, his strength would be stronger, and maybe he would be even happier. Liu Bei showed a sudden expression, but Zhang Ming knew that once Liu Bei took control of Nanyang, it would cause a huge uproar in Jingzhou. Firstly, Liu Bei's strength is far beyond that of Zhang Xiu. In Liu Biao's eyes, this letter will become a challenge letter. He will be worried that Liu Bei is plotting against him in Jingzhou, thus preventing Liu Bei. At the same time, Jingzhou is not limited to the 2 families of Kuai and Kai. If Liu Bei enters the game, it will only exacerbate the game between the Jingxiang aristocratic families. The Kuai and Kai families, in order to protect their own interests, will inevitably force Liu Biao to deal with Liu Bei. Although it is not to say that they want to eliminate Liu Bei, it is clearly in their best interest to physically harm Liu Bei and make him a watchdog for Liu Biao. At that time, can Liu Bei still hold back? The clay figurine still has 3 parts of blood, let alone a powerful leader like Liu Bei, and Zhang Ming also has a backup. Zhang Ming smiled slightly and continued, the second thing is to disarm. This statement startled the whole room. Zhang Fei was the first to jump out and oppose, oh, military officer, have you been confused? Now that Cao Cao is about to attack, why not recruit some soldiers at this critical moment? Why should we actually disarm? Shut up, Ida. You must not be disrespectful to the military commander. Liu Bei quickly scolded Zhang Fei, but Zhang Fei's words also spoke out everyone's feelings. Even Liu Bei looked at Zhang Ming with a puzzled expression on his face. For some unknown reason, he had never heard of recruiting troops and horses before the war, and this was the first time he had heard of disarmament and personnel reduction before the war. Zhang Ming knew Zhang Fei's personality and was not angry. He just asked in response, I wonder who the soldiers under the Lord's command are mostly from. Zhang Ming's question prompted everyone to reflect, and for a moment, the hall fell silent. Sun Qian, Jian Yong, and others also seemed to have some understanding. Liu Bei's eyes lit up and he quickly asked, what the strategist meant was that most of the soldiers under his command were from the Cao army before. If they go to war with Cao Cao, they may turn against him in the face of battle. Liu Bei has a decent understanding, although not entirely correct, he still answered the question to the point. The most crucial thing is that if it were a lord like Cao Cao and Yuan Shao, Zhang Ming would not dare to ask such a question. Master, tell me quickly, I can't guess. Zhang Fei was in a hurry, urging Zhang Ming, and Zhang Ming no longer played tricks. Rebellion on the battlefield is just one of them. Who knows how many spies are inside? If we were to expose our military aircraft to Cao Cao before the war, then no matter what strategy we use, how can we defeat Cao Cao? Zhang Ming's words aroused everyone's contemplation. Shaoqin, Liu Bei firmly said, what the military advisor said is absolutely right. I understand what to do now. It can be seen that Liu Bei has some flesh pain, but there is a lord who listens to advice, so fragrant. Zhang Ming couldn't bear Liu Bei's sadness and slowly said, don't worry, my lord. After repelling Cao Cao, I will offer another strategy for my lord. Tens of thousands of soldiers and horses, wave your hand and come. Chapter 5 Cao Cao. I have filial piety, and my heart is very peaceful. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Upon hearing Zhang Ming's words, Liu Bei felt much better. He didn't ask much, which was a sign of full trust in his subordinates. Old Liu understood very well and did his best. As a subordinate, Zhang Ming naturally cannot be ignorant. Although the methods of recruiting soldiers cannot be explained yet to prevent any early leaks, disarmament is not just about preventing soldiers from defecting and a lot of meticulous work in the military. So Zhang Ming said again, besides, there are several major benefits to disarmament. Firstly, if these people can reunite with their families after returning, they will definitely spread the Lord's benevolence and righteousness among the Cao army. Secondly, once so many people were sent back, with Cao Cao's suspicious personality, he would definitely not use these soldiers in the short term, which indirectly weakened Cao Cao's military strength. Finally, when Cao Cao learned that the Lord had few soldiers, he would inevitably conclude that the Lord wanted to withdraw from Xuzhou and would definitely lead light cavalry to pursue him. So, it's time for me to use the plan. Otherwise, Cao Cao would have taken a large army and infantry as his camp. How can the Lord resist now? Liu Bei suddenly realized, and the rest of the group also showed signs of enlightenment. I see, disarmament has such a profound meaning. We admire the military strategist's profound intelligence and strategy. With a military commander present, I will teach that Cao thief that he never returns. Everyone expressed admiration and confidence in the upcoming war. However, Zhang Fei scratched his heart with 100 claws. After the meeting, he held on to Zhang Ming and asked how he could transform into tens of thousands of soldiers. Finally, they were pulled away by Liu Bei and went together to preside over the disarmament matter. Everyone went to work, but Zhang Ming got idle and yawned before walking towards the room, ready to take a nap. Pei Yuanshao followed suit with proud steps. The young master was tired, and he wanted to stand guard for him. By the way, Lao Pei, please contact Lao Zhou. What I asked him to prepare before is almost ready for action. Before entering the room, Zhang Ming said to Pei Yuanshao. Pei Yuanshao's eyes froze and he nodded solemnly. Su Du, from the Xuzhou mansion. After Cao Cao divided his troops to defend Guandu, he returned to Xuzhou, and coincidentally, Liu Dai and Wang Zhong were released. Why did you two lose so quickly? Cao Cao didn't like it or get angry. Obviously, he had some expectations for the failure of the two, but he didn't expect the defeat to be so fast. Even when he just returned to the Xuzhou mansion, these two people arrived at the back. Above the hall, a group of advisors including Sun Yu, Jia, and Sun Yu were all listed. Returning to Lord Xikong, Guan Yu was cursing in front of me and wanted to see Lord Xikong. I didn't investigate for a while and was caught alive by Guan Yu. Zhong had a mournful face and described the process of his capture. Then Liu Bei kowtowed and said, I heard that Zhong was defeated, so I set up camp. Unexpectedly, I encountered Zhang Fei's night attack that night, and was caught by Zhang Feishan due to a momentary oversight. Oh! Cao Cao exclaimed in disbelief, it's normal for you to lose to Guan Yu for his unwavering bravery. It's rare for Zhang Fei to even know how to use tactics. Zhong and Liu Bei looked at each other and said in unison, Hui Xikong, it's Liu Bei who has appointed a new military commander. When the two of us were released, I vaguely saw a young man in his early 20s, whom Liu Bei claimed to be knowledgeable about Han. Afterwards, the two of us found out that this person's surname was Zhang, from Nanyang. As soon as he said this, Cao Cao was stunned for a moment, and then he immediately looked back at Sun Yu. Nanyang Zhangjihan, does Wen Ruo know this person? It should be noted that Sun Yu held a superior position in the Cao Cao strategist group, and most of the advisors in the Cao Cao formation were recommended by Sun Yu. As long as they were famous figures in the world, they were all in Sun Yu's mind. Unexpectedly, Sun Yu pondered for a long time and finally smiled helplessly, Lord, I don't know this person. The rest of Sun Yu, Jia, and others shook their heads. Sun Yu had never heard of this character, so they could not have heard of it. Jiapa was a bit curious, after all, this person was even younger than him, but could become the mastermind of Liu Bei. At this moment, an urgent report came from outside the hall. Report. In the direction of Xuzhou, Liu Bei released a large number of our soldiers, including former surrendered soldiers and soldiers allocated by the Minister of Works to Liu Bei. Roughly speaking, there are over 60,000 people. As soon as this intelligence arrived, there was an instant silence in the hall, and everyone was stunned, not understanding what trick Liu Bei was playing. Cao Cao was also lost in thought, just waving his hand to signal Liu Bei and Wancheng to step down. Now he doesn't even have the intention to deal with these two people. With a big battle approaching, Liu Bei didn't want to train his troops and instead released them all, which surprised him even more. In a moment, Jia smiled and said, Liu Bei probably couldn't do such a thing. I guess this should have come from Zhangjihan. Its purpose should be to prevent these soldiers from defecting in the face of battle and to prevent intelligence leaks. That is to say, he has calculated that the Lord will personally lead the army to conquer when he learns that Liu Bei and Wancheng have been defeated. Upon hearing Jia's words, Cao Cao couldn't help but laugh. Those who know me are also filial piety. The others were all shocked. After all, Cao Cao never mentioned that he would personally lead the army to go on an expedition. But just now this sentence indicates that Cao Cao really wants to personally lead the army to conquer Liu Bei. Never. My lord, now that Yuan Shaotuan's troops have crossed the border, I have the intention to spy on Xuzhou. It's okay for my lord to sit in Xuzhou if Liu Bei goes eastward and asks for help from Yuan Shao, and Yuan Shao takes advantage of the situation to attack. What should I do? The speaker was Cheng Yu, and he received recognition from Sun Yu, Liu Yi, and others. Cao Cao said, when Liu Bei lived in Xuzhou, I once discussed the heroes of the world with him. Nowadays, only Cao Cao and Liu Bei can be called heroes in the world. It won't be easy to defeat him now until Liu Bei's wings are full. Then Cao Cao gestured to Jia with his eyes, and Jia understood. He continued, Master, rest assured that Yuan Shao is not a concern. Everyone looked at Jia one after another, who was confident and talking confidently. Yuan Shao is fond of fame, and although he has some strategies, he is hesitant in his actions. He had numerous advisors under his command, each with their own group, making it difficult to unify their opinions. It's okay if Liu Bei doesn't seek help. Once he does, it will inevitably lead to disagreements among his advisors. At that time, Yuan Shaojian couldn't make up his mind and wouldn't send troops. On the contrary, the Lord personally marched eastward, and a battle could be settled. He took Xuzhou, so that he could go north and fight against Yuan Shao. Guojia's words were resounding, leaving Cheng Yu and others unable to refute them. Cao Cao clapped his hands and laughed, I have filial piety, and my heart is very peaceful. Liu Bei appointed a young and inexperienced young man as his strategist, and when facing war, he disarmed himself by destroying the city wall. I have made up my mind to lead a 50,000-strong army to conquer Xuzhou and defeat Liu Bei in one fell swoop. Seeing that Cao Cao had made up his mind, everyone in the hall bowed and said, Your Highness. Only a hint of doubt flashed on Sun Yu's face, and he silently murmured in his heart, Zhang Jihan, Nanyang. It seems a bit familiar. Chapter 6. Huangkou children dare to covet Jingzhou. You are listening at novel-full.audio. Jingzhou, located in the pastoral area of Xianyang Prefecture. Liu Bei's letter has also been delivered to Liu Biao's desk at this time. Liu Biaozheng was caressing his semi-white beard while carefully examining the letter. Does Liu Xuanda really think that if he gets the title of Imperial Uncle in Xuchang, he can be on an equal footing with me? Does she, Edu, take a look? Liu Xuanda intends to take Wancheng and form an alliance with me. What is the meaning behind this? Liu Biao sneered as he showed the letter in his hand to the lower-level officials. Wancheng is Kuai Yu, the leader of civil officials in Jingzhou, and also the second most prominent figure in the Kuai family in Jingzhou. The general was Kai Mao, the eldest of the Jingzhou generals, the head of the Kai family in Jingzhou, and his sister was Liu Biao's current wife. Liu Biao was able to secure a stable position as a herdsman in Jingzhou thanks to the strength of the Kuai and Kai families. Therefore, these two were also his most trusted civil and military officials. Kai Mao took the lead and quickly finished browsing, showing a disdainful expression on his face. Although Liu Bei is known as the Emperor Uncle, he was just a weaver of mats and shoes in his early years. How dare he falsely claim to help his lord solve problems? He is truly arrogant. Just Zhang Xiu, really think we can't take it down? Kai Mao came from a noble family and looked down upon those from lower backgrounds the most, so he was extremely sarcastic. However, Kuai Yu clearly didn't think so. After reading the letter, he smiled slightly. Don't underestimate Liu Bei, I have the latest battle report here. Liu Bei appointed Zhang Ming from Nanyang as his strategist, and then used life strategies to capture the two generals of Prince Liu. Along with a large number of soldiers from the Chao army, they were released to Xuzhou, leaving only a few thousand legitimate lineages. Now Cao Cao has personally led 50,000 troops and horses to prepare for the eastward expedition against Liu Bei. I guess that's why Liu Bei had to leave Xuzhou. As for why I chose Wancheng, in my foolish opinion, I cannot rule out the desire to covet the lord in Jingzhou. As soon as Liu Biao said this, he remained calm, but Kai Mao burst into laughter. Nanyang Zhang Ming. An unknown person, surprisingly disarmed before the war. Do you think Liu Bei died not fast enough? Still coveting Jingzhou. Brother Edu may have overestimated Liu Bei, right? Or do you think Brother Edu knows Zhang Ming from Nanyang? Kuai Yu shook his head slowly and said, I have never heard of this person's name either. Besides, according to reports, this person is only 20.12 years old. Upon hearing this, Kai Mao laughed even louder. Ha ha ha. A child with a yellow mouth can also plan for the lords of a region. I borrowed his courage, and he didn't dare to covet the Lord Jingzhou. It's impossible for Liu Bei to come and attack the 200,000 armored soldiers in Jingzhou with only a few thousand soldiers left in his hands. At the end, even Liu Biao nodded and stroked his beard with a smile on his face. Obviously, he also did not believe that Liu Bei had a desire to covet Jingzhou, but Kuai Yu was his mastermind and the second most important person in the Kuai family. He still wanted to give him a chance. How will I reply to this letter based on the meaning of Edu. Kuai Yu took a sip of tea, but there was no displeasure on his face. Instead, he said calmly, since Liu Bei said in the letter that taking Wancheng and forming an alliance with the Lord can serve as the northern barrier for the Lord may as well help him. However, this Wancheng should not be taken by him, but rather rewarded by the Lord. I suggest sending a general northward to Xinya, and then driving Liu Bei out of Wancheng when Liu Bei takes control of Wancheng and his foothold is not yet stable. Afterwards, the Lord sent someone to convey a message, expressing that there was a misunderstanding and willing to give up Wancheng for Liu Bei's army. Firstly, it can further weaken Liu Bei's strength. Secondly, it can demonstrate the Lord's concern for his fellow ancestors. Thirdly, it can make Liu Bei completely dependent on the Lord and not dare to covet him. Kuai Yu lightly turned the teacup in his hand, and a confident smile appeared on his face. This one-stone three-bird strategy. Liu Biao's eyes lit up as he patted his palms and sighed, this plan is so ingenious. I am fortunate to have a different degree, but I don't know if there is a suitable candidate for this person heading north. Upon hearing this, Kai Mao felt extremely anxious and quickly bowed his hand to offer himself. Lord, I am willing to personally lead the army northward. With only 20,000 soldiers and horses, I will surely defeat Liu Bei like a lost dog, in constant fear. Liu Biao saw the situation and knew that he was worried that Kuai Yu would take the opportunity to extend his hand into the army. However, he was not averse to such self-recommendation, and instead felt quite proud, quickly comforting Kai Mao. The wind of a great general is like that of a virtuous man. You lead the army, and my heart is at ease. All right, I'll give you 50,000 troops and show you the prestige of our Jingzhou army. Upon hearing these words, Kai Mao was overjoyed and quickly bowed in salute. Mao will not disappoint the Lord's trust. This battle will definitely completely defeat Liu Bei and make him obedient as the Lord's watchdog. Liu Biao walked down the hall, holding Kuai Yu in one hand and Kai Mao in the other, laughing up in the sky. With your help, Jingzhou will be as stable as Mount Tai. Ha ha ha. At the same time, less than 100 miles outside the city of Shepi, Cao Cao's 50,000-strong army was camping here. Report. The scout ahead reported that no flag was hung on the city of Shepi, and no soldiers were seen patrolling. Unfortunately, the city gate was opened, but no people were seen. Inside the tent, Cao Cao, who was originally chatting and laughing with his subordinates, frowned instantly upon hearing this. Lord! I'm afraid Liu Bei has run away. I'm willing to lead my troops to Shepi first to investigate the situation for Lord. A tiger general emerged from the crowd, but he was blind in one eye and the scar on it looked quite frightening. Yuan Rang, please be calm and not impatient. Cao Cao raised his right hand and slightly pressed it down, signaling that Xiahou Dun should not be in a hurry. After a moment, his eyebrows relaxed and a smile appeared on his face. I have seen through these small tricks, as the saying goes in military tactics, if there is truth, then there is emptiness, if there is emptiness, then there is truth. I guess this is probably the idea that Zhang Ming from Nanyang, a newly appointed military strategist by Xuanda, came up with. It's a bit wise, but unfortunately not much. Cao Cao's words have satisfied the appetite of the generals under his command. Among them, Su Chu was a simple and straightforward person who couldn't help but quickly ask, Lord, what does that mean? Cao Cao smiled slightly and said, Zhong Kong, I'll tell you on weekdays to read more military books. This city of Shepi is just a bait. It seems like there are no soldiers left, but I guess the whole people in the city will be soldiers. He wants me to go as a light soldier and then ambush me, but I'm not fooled. Send the order, keep the whole army on guard, set up camp and camp 30 miles a day. If you want to win by surprise, I will camp step by step, see what you can do for me. Su Chu hesitated for a moment, but still hesitated and said, Lord, even if it's a bait, it's unlikely that the whole people will fight, isn't it? Cao Cao sneered and said, "No other place is possible, only Xuzhou is possible." Su Chu was startled and suddenly realized. The other Xiahou Dun and other generals also woke up and praised, "Your Majesty is wise." 3 days later, Cao Cao's army finally arrived at Xiapi. Looking at the city of Xiapi, where only the trembling people were left at home, without Liu Bei's soldiers, Cao Cao's face turned pale with iron. "Lord, this person knows Liu Bei's whereabouts." An elder was brought before Cao Cao. "General Liu has gone to Shouchuan," and Zhang Junshi said, "As long as we stay at home for 3 days and don't come out, we won't be difficult when the great Han Chao Sikong arrives." After finishing these words with trembling fear, the elder finally breathed a sigh of relief when he saw Cao Cao's face as heavy as water. "Zhong Kong, lead 3,000 light cavalry and follow me in pursuit. Yuan Rang, proclaim and Min, and then lead a large army to come." After speaking, Cao Cao took the lead and rushed south. Chapter 7. Is Boss Cao surprised or not? You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the north bank of the Huai River, dozens of merchant ships are moored at a ferry crossing. "Zhong, thank you very much." Liu Bei lightly patted Mi Zhu's shoulder, but his gaze towards the north couldn't conceal the anxiety. "It is a humble honor to serve the Lord. Moreover, it's just preparing some merchant ships on the Huai River, which is nothing to the Mi family. But Cao Cao's pursuit is approaching, can the strategist's strategy succeed?" Like Liu Bei, Mi Zhu, and even others like Mi Fang, Sun Qian, Jian Yong, etc., looked equally uneasy. After evacuating Xiapi, Zhang Ming said he wanted to go south and head west along the Huai River into Runan. Although everyone was strange, Liu Bei had no objection after making the decision. However, after arriving at the ferry and boarding all the ships, Zhang Ming delayed his departure until he received intelligence that Cao Cao was about to catch up. Instead, Zhang Ming arranged for Guan Yu and Zhang Fei to lead 1,000 men each to cut off the rear, but still did not see the ship set sail. Liu Bei turned around and looked at Zhang Ming, who was sunbathing and dozing on the deck. He whispered, "The plan has been set, trust the military commander." "I'm curious, who is the old friend mentioned by the military strategist?" Liu Bei has said so, and it's hard for everyone to say anything more. Although the pursuers were only 3,000 light cavalry, it was Cao Cao who personally led the army, and their hearts were still restless. Initially, Zhang Ming provided suggestions. First, he left an empty city in Xuzhou to confuse Cao Cao. Zhang Ming predicted that Cao Cao would be suspicious and would slowly march. He would only lead cavalry to pursue after discovering that he had been deceived. So he schemed and deliberately let Guan Yu and Zhang Fei each lead 1,000 men and horses to meet each other, in order to create a feeling of a dead end and a desperate end. Only in this way will Cao Cao completely let go and pursue. And the real winner is Liu Bei's old friend, who was also the tiger general that Zhang Ming spent a whole year attracting before he joined Liu Bei. Suddenly, dust was flying on the north road. It seems that Cao Cao's 3,000 light cavalry chased after him, but on the path that these 3,000 light cavalry must pass through, there is still a dense forest. And the armies of Guan Yu and Zhang Fei are setting up ambushes in the dense forest. Cao Cao is here. At the ferry crossing, someone exclaimed in surprise. Liu Bei also quickly looked up, but when he looked at Zhang Ming, he found that he had started snoring lightly, as if he was already asleep. On the other side, Cao Cao saw the dense forest ahead and raised his hand to signal. The well-trained cavalry under his command slowly stopped. "Master, why don't you chase after me? You can already see a large number of ships on the ferry over there, flying the Liu flag. It must be Liu Bei." Su Chu's eyes were sharp, and he had already seen the ferry boats, so he couldn't understand why Cao Cao would stop at such a moment. Zhong Kong, as the military strategy goes, no entry into the forest, no pursuit from the poor. Look at this dense forest, can there be birds, beasts, and insects chirping? Cao Cao pointed his whip at the dense forest and asked Su Chu in return. Su Chu was taken aback and listened carefully for a moment before saying, "Lord, it's really not normal, isn't it?" Cao Cao smiled slightly and said, "Yes, so I predict there must be an ambush inside. Someone, give me a fire and burn this dense forest." Just as they were preparing to set fire under their command, the road was filled with smoke and dust, as if thousands of soldiers and horses were heading towards this place. Kill. The leader, with thick eyebrows and big eyes, and a white horse and silver spear, is rapidly approaching. Behind him, there were also nearly 50 white horses, all holding bows and arrows, staring at Cao Cao's cavalry. Not good. I was tricked. Cao Cao was shocked. Now that all his cavalry had stopped, if he were attacked by such a large number of cavalry from the opponent, he would probably lose his combat effectiveness in just one turn. Not to mention, he had already discovered that the one facing the front was actually by Ma Yi Kong. How could it be? Cao Cao's brain even experienced a momentary short-circuit. Under 2 rounds of arrow rain, the cavalry of Cao Cao's rear team collapsed, and their cavalry shooting skills were far superior to Cao Cao's light cavalry by several levels. At the next moment, the young man with a white horse and a silver spear, wielding his spear and leaping his horse, had already entered the crowd. Wherever he passes, like entering an uninhabited realm, no one is his nemesis. This scene stunned Cao Cao again. It wasn't until Su Chu roared and rushed forward, blocking the young man, that Cao Cao realized. Just as he was about to order a breakout, he heard bursts of cries of killing coming from behind. In the dense forest, one left and one right, each killing over 1,000 people. The first 2 generals are Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. Waha! Cao thief, take your life. Seeing Cao Cao, Zhang Fei clenched his spear and was extremely excited. The cavalry, who had lost their impact, may not be as good as ordinary infantry at this time. Under the siege of 3 sides, the Cao army suffered a great defeat. Master, come and kill me together. At a critical moment, Su Chu, who had been fighting with Zhao Yun for a while, sold a loophole and was willing to be stabbed in the arm by a long gun. Finally, he escaped and killed Cao Cao, protecting his bewildered face. He charged wildly towards the outside of the ambush circle. Finally, there were only over 100 light cavalry who followed Cao Cao and Su Chu to break out of the encirclement. Ha ha ha. Seeing that he had separated from the battle circle, Cao Cao suddenly burst into laughter, causing Su Chu to be momentarily stunned. He thought to himself, "Isn't my lord losing his mind and going crazy?" As he was struggling, Cao Cao suddenly smiled and said, "That's just Zhang Jihan from Nanyang." Upon hearing this, Su Chu and the accompanying cavalry were both stunned. The front foot was almost completely destroyed by someone else's trickery, while the back foot was mocked by their own lord. Cao Cao continued, "If I use force, I will set up an ambush here. Imagine, if the only way out is blocked, wouldn't we just be unable to fly?" Upon hearing this, Su Chu was instantly startled and broke out in a cold sweat. He immediately admired him and said, "Your Majesty's words make sense. From this perspective, that Zhang Jihan is indeed not inferior." Bang, bang, bang. At this moment, the 3-way drum sounded. 500 archers suddenly emerged from both sides of the road. The next second, Cao Cao's laughter came to an abrupt end. "It's over, my life is at rest." At this moment, Cao Cao's heart was cold. Unexpectedly, in the hand of the bow and arrow, a short-bearded man walked out, holding a letter in his hand, and walked towards Cao Cao while speaking. "My military advisor has a letter to Cao Xikong." Speaking, Su Chu, who was not afraid of Cao Cao's side, came to Cao Cao's horse like this. Cao Cao raised his hand to stop Su Chu, with deep eyes. He took the letter and asked, "How do you call a hero?" "Your military commander, but Zhang Jihan." After delivering the letter, the strong man arched his hand and said, "Zhou Tsang from a certain family. Of course, my military advisor is Mr. Zhang." After speaking, he unexpectedly asked his subordinates to make way and let Cao Cao leave. Of course, Cao Cao was not polite and quickly disappeared from Zhou Tsang's sight by urging his warhorse under his crotch. It wasn't until we galloped all the way and met the army that came after Xiahou Dun that we stopped our steps. At this moment, he dared to take out the letter and write 6 big characters. The great Han Sikong personally opened it. Ha ha ha. After reading the letter, Cao Cao couldn't help but burst out laughing from the sky again. Chapter 8. Can a military strategist sow beans to become a soldier? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Upon hearing Cao Cao's laughter, Su Chu felt goosebumps all over and instinctively looked around. Fortunately, Chao's army was everywhere. Xiahou Dun also looked inexplicably at Cao Cao with great concern. "Lord, I don't know what's causing me great joy." Without hesitation, Cao Cao handed Zhang Ming's letter directly to Xiahou Dun and then waved his hand. "Retreat and return to Xuzhou." Xiahou Dun was taken aback. How could he stop chasing after the letter after reading it? Although it is evident that the protagonist suffered a great defeat and returned, giving up after losing once is clearly not Cao Cao's style. So Xiahou Dun turned his gaze to the letter in his hand. Han Sikong personally announces. "Hello Boss Cao, Jihan has something to say." To the north, Yuan Shao is eyeing fiercely. "It may not be appropriate for Boss Cao to chase after my lord. If we cannot defeat him in one battle, why get stuck in the quagmire? To be honest, the destination of my lord's trip is Wancheng. Afterwards, it's Jingzhou. What about Boss Cao? He has already taken Xuzhou, shouldn't he take a look at Hebei? Since Mr. Cao and my lord are both heroes in the world, why not settle down separately and wait for the day when they stand north and south, and then decide on a higher position? Isn't it a beautiful conversation?" Xiahou Dun had a bewildered expression on his face. Although he had read the letter, it seemed as if he had never read it before. On the other hand, it was Cao Cao who, since reading the letter, had a smile on his face all the way back. Occasionally, phrases like, "Zhang Jihan, I remember you, you are a wonderful person, those who know me not only serve filial piety." On the other side, people and horses were boiling at the ferry crossing. Zhang Ming stretched lazily and stood up lazily, looking at Liu Bei at the ferry crossing with a smile on his face. "Take a rough look. This battle has brought in almost 1,000 good horses. It seems that Old Liu can also quickly form his own elite troops." At the same time, Old Liu Zheng, along with excited Guan Yu and Zhang Fei, gathered around a young man in silver armor and chatted with a smile. "The military commander is here." Someone reported that Liu Bei quickly turned around and indeed saw Zhang Ming with a feather fan and silk scarf, walking slowly with a smile on his face. "Jihan. Zilong. Jihan, you have suffered so much." Liu Bei's expression was excited, and for a moment he was somewhat incoherent. Zhang Ming understood Liu Bei's meaning. He didn't expect that the old friend he mentioned would actually be Zhao Yun and Zhao Zilong. And obviously, when they were chatting together just now, Zhao Yun must have already mentioned about his meeting with him. Speaking of which, this is the longest planned task for Zhang Ming after his soul pierced. He, who was familiar with history, knew that Liu Bei met Zhao Yun again after the fall of Xuzhou and his defection to Yuan Shao. He met Zhao Yun by chance in Yi City. But if we follow his layout, Lao Lu will probably reach Hebei when he goes to Yi City again. At that time, who knew for whom Zhao Yun was serving? Such a tiger general was also Zhang Ming's favorite warrior in his past life, and of course he would not allow such a thing to happen. Therefore, last year, for a whole year, Zhang Ming stayed in Yi City. The emperor did not disappoint those who had intentions. With his own efforts and the help of his father's old friend, he finally managed to find Zhao Yun. The two people who both wanted to assist Liu Bei gathered together and quickly reached an agreement. With the help of Zhao Yun, they gathered a group of white horse followers, and then rushed south from Yi City before Liu Bei gained independence in Xuzhou. Coincidentally passing by Funyo Mountain, Pei Yuanshao took a liking to Zhao Yun's white horse and descended the mountain to snatch it. This time, with Zhang Ming's presence, Pei Yuanshao's life was saved. It was only after Pei Yuanshao and Zhou Tsang decided to join that they came up with this plan. Yuan Shu's new death led him south to the Huai River and then westward along the Huai River, where he would not encounter any obstacles and would be much safer than directly entering Runan County. At the same time, the abundance of forests in Huainan is also conducive to the development of strategies. As for the illusion of 10,000 galloping horses, it is natural to imitate the method of Zhang Fei tying branches with his ponytail on the Changban slope in Danyang. In summary, Zhang Ming has been planning this strategy for a long time. Even if top strategists like Sun Yu and Guo Jia come along, he is confident that Cao Cao will fall for it. Congratulations, Lord. This time, not only did you receive Zilong as a tiger general, but you also received over 1,000 war horses. After arriving in Runan and the soldiers are in place, cavalry can be formed. We'll set off once Zhou Tsang finishes delivering the letter and returns. After briefly explaining the arrangements after that, Liu Bei expressed some concern and said, "Jihan, do you really think Cao Cao will retreat after seeing that letter?" He was still a bit worried. After all, Zhang Ming's letter told Cao Cao all his plans for the future. In case Zhang Ming nodded firmly and said, "Master, rest assured." Upon seeing this, Liu Bei's gaze gradually became firm. Soon, Zhou Tsang returned. After a while, the scout came to report that Cao Cao had already withdrawn and the army was heading down to Pai. Everyone looked at Zhang Ming with even more respect in their eyes. "Master, you're so amazing." This battle was fought comfortably, and when I remembered the panicked appearance of Cao Thief's escape, I felt relieved, ha ha ha. In the future, I won't even blink when you say, "hit someone." Zhang Fei looked excited, but he also spoke out everyone's thoughts. Zhang Ming smiled slightly and shook his feather fan lightly, not taking credit, but instead praising everyone. Lu Guanzhang's martial courage, Sun Jianmi's logistics, and Lao Lu's leadership. Amidst a chorus of praise, everyone gradually lost themselves. Finally, Old Liu remembered the main matter and quickly asked, "By the way, Jihan, where did the soldiers you mentioned before come from?" Zhang Fei was also impatient and quickly agreed, yes, military strategist, can you just sow beans and become a soldier?" At this point, Zhang Ming no longer conceals anything. "Yes, it's just throwing beans into battle." Zhang Fei's big and round eyes widened even larger and rounder. Zhang Ming smiled mysteriously and said, "Lord, the destination of our trip is Ruyan by the Yingshui River. And what I call tens of thousands of elite soldiers are actually remnants of the yellow turban that are now lingering in the Gushi area. At present, the two largest yellow turban armies in Runan County are Liu Bei and Gongdu, each with over 10,000 elite soldiers." This statement brightened everyone's eyes. Guan Yu nodded and stroked his beard, "I see. These two yellow turban armies are indeed considered elite." Zhang Ming smiled slightly, jokingly. "With the yellow scarf that has not been eradicated yet, and the support of Yuan Shao behind it, can we not be elite?" Zhang Fei looked even more eager and shouted, "Master, you must make me the vanguard this time. Yellow turban thief, Grandpa Zhang is here." Unexpectedly, Zhang Ming waved his feather fan and stopped Zhang Fei. "Ida, sometimes surrendering without fighting is the best strategy. Liu Bei and Gongdu only need a letter from the Lord to lead their troops to surrender. Why should we vigorously promote the use of swords?" Everyone was puzzled, and a letter could attract tens of thousands of elite soldiers. Perhaps this is not something that only comes from dreams, right? Zhang Ming shook his head. Obviously, everyone had not yet realized how terrifying Liu Bei's benevolence and righteousness were. My lord has always upheld the principles of benevolence and righteousness, and has gained a great reputation among the Yellow Turban Army. This time when Zilong and I went south, we met Liu Bei and Liu Zhou, who only followed us after hearing that we were going to bid for the Lord. And I also learned from chatting with Liu Bei and Liu Zhou that Liu Bei and Gong Du from Runan have long been longing for their lord. So, why not give it a try, my lord? Chapter 9. Fighting, killing, and harmony. Write a letter to Zhang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Try it. A surprised expression appeared in Liu Bei's eyes, clearly not expecting him to have such skills himself. But after listening to Zhang Ming's words, the rest of Sun Qian, Jian Yong, Mi Zhu, and others actually believed even more, because they were attracted by Liu Bei's benevolence and righteousness, and gathered around him. They worked tirelessly, even if they were defeated repeatedly, they never left or gave up. Zhang Ming smiled slightly. He was so confident, of course, because he knew that in history, after Liu Bei defected to Yuan Shao, he was sent by Yuan Shao to Runan, where his family was located, to work behind enemy lines. Liu Bigong followed Liu Bei at that time, and even in the end, Liu Bei broke away from Yuan Shao. These two remained steadfast and even sacrificed their lives for Lao Lu. But this time, with him around, their destinies will also be different. By the way, my lord. Since you want to write a letter, why not write another one to Yuan Shao? Liu Bei was taken aback for a moment, wondering why he had contacted Yuan Shao again. He felt that his brain was clearly not enough. Zhang Ming whispered in his ear, and after a while, Liu Bei's expression changed from doubt to surprise, and finally to ecstasy. Okay, just follow Jihan, I'll write a letter now. Soon, a letter was written to Liu Bigong and another to Yuan Shao. The letter is written, and the person who delivers it is equally important. Under Zhang Ming's arrangement, Jian Yong was responsible for delivering letters to Liu Bigong, while Sun Qian was responsible for delivering letters to Yuan Shao. Both of them have the evaluation of being elegant and courteous, and being courteous to the world. That is to say, both of these people are generous and eloquent, both of whom are the kind of people who can be treated well by others, and are rare diplomatic talents. Throughout the late Eastern Han Dynasty, in fact, Jian Yong, Sun Qian, and Liu Bei represented Liu Bei on missions to various feudal lords, with a high success rate. Although it is due to Liu Bei's reputation for benevolence and righteousness, the diplomatic abilities of Jian, Yong, Sun, and Qian are beyond doubt. Therefore, Zhang Ming intends to focus on cultivating the two in the diplomatic direction in the future. Among them, Sun Qian came from a better background and was a disciple of the great Confucian scholar Jingzhou. He sent more envoys to feudal lords, while Jian Yong sent more envoys to the military. However, Sun Qian has not yet sent an envoy. Zhang Ming plans to take over Wancheng and then ask Sun Qian to deliver a letter to Yuan Shao. In a blink of time, it arrived at the end of August in the 4th year of Jianan. Liu Bei's current more than 3,000 legitimate troops are stationed in Ruyan. On this day, outside the city of Ruyan, 2 armies and horses, each with over 10,000 soldiers, arrived in a grand and mighty manner. As soon as Jian Yong entered the city, he brought good news. My lord, great joy. After receiving the letter from the lord, Liu Bigong was extremely surprised and quickly packed up their own counterfeit supplies to join the lord in Ruyan. With space, Liu Bei gained over 20,000 elite soldiers for nothing. Jihan, you are really. For a moment, Liu Bei didn't know how to praise Zhang Ming, so he kept caressing his shoulder with his hand, expressing his gratitude. Zhang Ming slowly stood up and bowed to the bottom. Congratulations, Lord. Let's go and receive these 20,000 elite soldiers now. By accepting Liu Bei, Gong Du, and these more than 20,000 elite soldiers, along with his 3,000 legitimate lineages, Liu Bei's army had already approached 30,000. The most important thing is that many of the people under the command of Liu Bei and Gong Du were originally people from the Bingzhou area. Among them are people from Yanmen and Dingxian counties, who can be said to be born knights and grew up on horseback from a young age. Soon, Liu Bei selected those who could ride and shoot, and formed a cavalry team of 1,000 people. The cavalry commander was Zhao Yun, who was a descendant of Bai Ma-yi. And the additional 200 riders became Liu Bei's guard, all wearing white bird feathers as markers. This is the white elite soldier. After staying in Ruyan for 3 more days, on the first day of September in the 4th year of Jianan, Liu Bei's army advanced towards Pingyu after completing the reorganization. As for why he went to Pingyu, Zhang Ming smiled slightly. Of course, it's to find a competent general for the White Army. As expected by Zhang Ming, when they passed by Pingyu, Chen Dao, who was only 20 years old at the time, joined Liu Bei's team with over 100 young men. Congratulations, Lord. Another tiger general has been added. After watching Chen Dao compete with Zhao Yun in marksmanship, everyone looked at Zhang Ming with even stronger respect. Unexpectedly, the strategist not only had outstanding strategies, but also had a very sharp eye for people. Yeah, why didn't I see that this young man named Chen Dao was able to support lilies under Zilong's command, come and play 2 tricks with me. Indeed, it's not simple. Over time, he's also a fierce general, and the military commander is truly divine. In this joyful atmosphere, with the recommendation of Zhang Ming, Chen Dao became the main general of Liu Bei's escort team and Bai Gui's elite soldiers. After receiving Chen's arrival, Liu Bei's army accelerated their marching pace. Finally, in mid-September, I arrived at the east of Wancheng city and set up camp. General Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, and Zhao Yun are all petitioning for battle in the Central Army tent. Big brother, military strategist, let me take on this battle. I haven't been on the battlefield to kill enemies for over a month, and my hands have already itched. Look at my spear, it's almost rusty. Zhang Fei's bright voice echoed in the tent. In the present-day Wancheng, Zhang Xiu's soldiers were only 5,000, with a maximum of 2,000 truly capable soldiers. The only one who can still make a name for himself is probably Zhang Xiu's direct line of personal guards, the original Xilian Iron Cavalry. Unfortunately, there are only 500 riders now, which is also Zhang Xiu's last capital. Alright, third brother, don't worry, listen to what the military master says. Liu Bei raised his hand, and the generals in the tent immediately turned their gaze to Zhang Ming. Zhang Ming smiled slightly and the feather fan swayed gently. Why launch a strong attack on such a lonely city? The Lord only needs a letter to persuade Zhang Xiu to surrender. Why use knives and guns? Zhang Fei's eyes widened in disbelief, writing again. He is now a bit afraid that Zhang Ming mentioned writing a letter, because it means that he has no more wars to fight. However, Liu Bei was full of enthusiasm and could defeat people's soldiers without fighting. He wished he could write letters every day. That's great, but Jihan, how should I write this letter? Seeing that Liu Bei had already agreed, the generals had no choice but to give up. However, they were also curious whether this time the military advisor's letter would still have a miraculous effect. After all, Zhang Xiu comes from a rebellious Western Liang army, so she may not be easily swayed. After Liu Bei finished writing the letter, he looked at the civil service group and was about to ask who was willing to deliver the letter. Upon seeing this, Zhang Ming took the initiative to propose, Lord, the most suitable person to deliver this letter is Zilong. Everyone looked at Zhao Yun with confusion on their faces. Zhao Yun also looked at Zhang Ming with a shocked expression on his face. Zhang Ming looked at Liu Bei with a calm expression and said slowly, Zhang Xiu and Zilong are both worshipped by the Gunju Tong Yuan sect. Although they have never met before, strictly speaking, Zilong is Zhang Xiu's junior brother. Everyone was shocked, and no one expected that even Zhang Ming knew about this kind of thing. Soon, Zhao Yun's words also confirmed that Zhang Ming really knew. My lord, I am willing to go. Zhang Xiu was indeed recruited by his family in his early years, but when I first started, Zhang Xiu's senior brother had already graduated, so I had never seen him before. Everyone suddenly realized that Zhao Yun was indeed the most suitable person to deliver letters. Outside the camp gate, Zhao Yun rode alone and prepared to enter the city to deliver letters. Before leaving, Zhang Ming handed Zhao Yun a brocade bag and explained, "If you encounter someone named Jia Xu causing trouble, you can open the brocade bag. There is a way to crack it." Chapter 10. Seize Wancheng lightly and hold Jia Xu tightly. You are listening at novel-full.audio. In the Wancheng prefecture, Zhang Xiu had a troubled expression on her face. Under him sat a middle-aged scholar with a majestic and dignified appearance, with a slight frown between his eyebrows, appearing quite domineering. At this moment, his eyes slightly closed and he said calmly, "General doesn't want to see you. Just chop it off, why bother?" Zhang Xiu gave a bitter smile and said, "Mr. Wenhe doesn't know that the person sent by Liu Bei to deliver the letter is my fellow disciple." Jia Xu's eyes widened slightly and he said with a hint of surprise, "Under Liu Bei's command, there is actually a general's junior brother. So why bother seeing him?" Zhang Xiu hesitated for a moment before saying, "But sir, didn't you say that our best destination is Cao Cao? If junior brother persuades me hard, then I won't be able to refuse. What should I do?" Jia Xu gently stroked his beard and said calmly, "General, don't worry. In the end, that villain, Xu will do it." Upon hearing this, Zhang Xiu was overjoyed and quickly got up to greet her outside. Looking at Zhang Xiu's hurried back, Jia Xu pondered, "Is Liu Bei, the messenger, unintentional or deliberate?" Not long. Zhang Xiu walked up the hall holding a young man, and as they walked, they both smiled and appeared very happy. This young man was none other than Zhao Yun. "Someone, prepare a banquet. I want to treat my junior brother well." As soon as she sat down, Zhang Xiu called for someone to arrange a banquet. With the current situation in Wancheng, it can be seen that he was indeed overjoyed in his heart. The servant was about to arrange, but was stopped by Zhao Yun. "Senior brother, wait a moment. I am currently representing the Lord on an envoy, so it's important to focus on the main matter first. As for this wine, when can't you and my brother drink it in the future?" This sentence was clever, and Zhang Xiu almost responded. Fortunately, Jia Xu coughed in time, which made Zhang Xiu swallow the words that had already reached her mouth. "He, how do you call this general?" Jia Xu asked first. Zhao Yun arched his hand and said, "Changshan Zhao Yun, with the courtesy name Zilong, may I ask, sir?" "Guzong Jia Xu, Lu Huangshu's letter, can you lend me a look?" Zhao Yun was taken aback, but at the same time, his heart was startled. He didn't expect that there was indeed a person named Jia Xu, as expected by the military commander. Then he looked at Zhang Xiu and saw that she nodded without any displeasure. Zhao Yun knew in his heart that no wonder the military advisor would leave him a treasure bag. It seemed that his senior brother respected Jia Xu's opinion very much, and Jia Xu also clearly had the intention of making things difficult. So Zhao Yun took out the letter and opened the brocade bag. Inside the brocade bag was another letter with 3 words written on it, to Jia Xu. Immediately after, along with Liu Bei's letter, there were 2 letters in total. Zhao Yun handed them both to Jia Xu, but Jia Xu was somewhat surprised and didn't understand why there were 2 letters. As Jia Xu received the letter, the atmosphere in the hall became slightly solemn. Jia Xu first read Liu Bei's conventional letter of persuasion to surrender. It was nothing more than praising Zhang Xiu first, not colluding with Li Gui and Guosi, not causing more killing in Chang'an, and being able to treat the people well after arriving in Wancheng. Afterwards, Zhang Xiu was invited to help the Han Dynasty and bring back a peaceful and prosperous era to the people, with a bright future. Although the rhetoric is not flashy, it is full of genuine emotions. Even after reading it, Jia Xu couldn't help but admire Liu Bei's benevolence and righteousness. After stabilizing my mind, I turned to the second letter. Nanyang Zhang Ming seeks advice from Mr. Wenhe, but wants to surrender to Cao Cao. If so, I have 3 questions. I asked the gentleman, how can the gentleman and his family deal with the rebellion against Chang'an and the chaos of the Han Dynasty? Although it was for self-protection, all Chang'an officials are now in Xuzhou. Mr. Irwin, the nephew of Cao Cao, all his beloved generals have died in Wancheng. Even if Cao Cao does not investigate, how can Mr. Zhang establish himself? Mr. Sanwen, now that my lord has just defeated Cao Cao and a 30,000-strong army is approaching the city, do you have the confidence to fight to the death? A gentleman does not stand under a dangerous wall, but a wise gentleman should make a decisive decision. Previously, there was no choice for the master. Now that my lord has arrived, why don't you reconsider who is the wise master who can enable the master and General Zhang to showcase their abilities? At this point, Jia Xu's eyes widened and his breathing became much heavier. Firstly, I have guessed my own plan thoroughly. Secondly, he pointed out the positions of himself and Zhang Xiu once they were demoted to Chao. Thirdly, the naked threat. However, none of this is important. What is important is that the last sentence triggered Jia Xu's thinking. Yeah, why did Liu Bei come to Wancheng? The next second, Jia Xu's body shook and he looked south. After a moment, Jia Xu no longer hesitated and handed both letters to Zhang Xiu. After Zhang Xiu finished reading them, he could see that Zhang Xiu was clearly more moved. Sir, what should we do? Zhang Xiu looked at Jia Xu with a hint of anticipation in her eyes. Jia Xu nodded slowly and said, General Zhang, Uncle Liu is known for his benevolence and righteousness throughout the world. He is indeed a rare master. Please surrender. Zhang Xiu was overjoyed and immediately stood up to announce. Order me to open the city gate and welcome Uncle Liu into the city with me. Zhao Yun burst out laughing when he saw this. Congratulations, senior brother. In the future, you and my senior brothers will both serve as the Lord, which will surely become a beautiful story. After entering the city, a banquet was held in the government office. Zhang Ming's position is only below Liu Bei, and even above Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. For all the civil officials and generals on Liu Bei's side, it is completely natural and there is no objection. Before the banquet, Liu Bei also appointed Zhang Xiu to continue leading the Western Liang army and ordered him to eliminate the old and weak, and recruit a full battalion of soldiers. Zhang Xiu was surprised and impressed by Liu Bei's trust. In addition to being overjoyed, she immediately bowed to the Lord. Just Jia Xu, although very respectful to Liu Bei, only referred to him as the envoy, not the Lord. Zhang Ming saw it in his eyes and knew it clearly in his chest. After 3 rounds of drinking, Zhang Ming found Jia Xu. Mr. Wenhe, does this drink not taste good? Zhang Jun misunderstood that although the wine is good, he doesn't know its source and always has concerns. Mr. Wenhe is a good drinker, how could he not identify his source? Let's guess, how about that? Then I'll give it a try, but from Jingzhou. Exactly, do Mr. Wenhe still have any concerns? Although Jingzhou is good, we cannot drink it frequently. What can we do about it? Don't worry, Mr. Wenhe. Since you like it, I will let you drink this wine regularly. If you have this concern, why not drink it less and slowly? When you can drink it regularly, how about drinking it again? If it's so kind, then it's thanks to General Zhang. It's my job, I just hope Mr. Wenhe doesn't refuse to drink, please. After speaking, Zhang Ming offered Jia Xu a glass of wine, and Jia Xu drank it all in one gulp. The two of them looked at each other and smiled. Although the two have been talking about drinking, in reality, they have already reached a consensus. Before Zhang Ming helped Liu Bei take Jingzhou, Jia Xu would not recognize Liu Bei as the main leader or offer suggestions. Zhang Ming agreed with this. Similarly, Zhang Ming proposed that you, Jia Xu, can sit on the sidelines and watch, but you cannot have a second mind and make small moves. Jia Xu also agrees. So, Jia Xu had entered Zhang Ming's urn, and Zhang Ming's gaze also turned south. When the news passes, Kai Mao from Xinya may not be able to sit still. Whether or not we can go south depends on you. General Kai, don't let me down.